Welcome to episode 10 of all numbers, the big 10 of Let's Talk with Lee Peart. This week I'm joined by a gentleman you may or may not have heard of. He actually works behind the scenes in television. He is the director of Good Morning Britain. And when I first started this podcast, not only did I want people who have interesting stories to tell, mainly that are in front of the camera or are in showbiz, but also behind the camera, and we get to talk about how it is being a director, how he became a director, his move from being basically a runner in television to the job he has now. We also talk a typical day working with Piers Morgan, among many others, and he also tells quite a funny story that happened, a rather misfortunate mishap with Eamonn Holmes, and also how Renée Zelweger basically offered him a part in a film. So listen, subscribe, review, rate, and enjoy episode 10 with Erron Gordon. I am delighted, thrilled, honoured to be sat actually in an environment that is more your turf. I'm joined by Erron Gordon. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Lee. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you here, Erron. Now, for anyone listening, you would have listened to the intro, but I'm just going to give you a re-intro. You are a director, a TV director.
I am.
A very esteemed TV director, from what I am told, and what I hear. It's the truth. So when I started this podcast, mainly I have had celebs on, names, no offence.
Yeah.
You're the first. Well, although you have been in a film, I'm told.
Yeah, I'm not a household name like your previous podcasters, if you like, but no, I was in a film. I think it was 2016 it came out. Bridget Jones's Baby.
Oh, so yeah.
So Renée Zelweger was playing Bridget, and she's a TV producer for a program called Hard News, and I played the director of Hard News.
Okay.
So I went for about 3 weeks and shot the movie with Renee. So I was sitting next to Renée Zelweger for like...
How did you get that?
So...
You're not an actor, are you?
No. Well, actually, but there's a bit... I'll explain. So Renee came in to shadow Good Morning Britain. So I'm the series director of Good Morning Britain. She came in, my boss phoned me, said, Renee's coming in to shadow, don't tweet about it, no Instagrams, she's just chill, she's coming in to, do a bit of sort of method acting. So she came in for a few mornings, and one particular morning, she'd watched a show and I was directing it, and I went up to the debrief and I came back down to collect my bag and she was still there. And we work in TV, so you see celebrities all the time. I'm not going to go out my way to talk to them because they're doing a job as well, so you just got to be cool about it. And she stopped me and she said, hey, morning, you're the director. I was like, oh, yeah, hi, yeah. She said, you look really young to be doing what you're doing. I was like, oh, thank you very much, Renée Zelweger. So anyway, so I was just chatting with her and the director, Sharon Maguire. And then I was about to leave and I jokingly turned to them as I was walking out the door and said, I did A-level drama. I'm available if you want me to be. Just as like a jokey throwaway line.
Yeah.
And then they said, no, actually, yeah, you can be the director in the movie. And I sort of was like, oh, yeah, sure, whatever you say.
Thank you, Renee.
Yeah, sure, whatever you say. And they were like, no, seriously, give us your number. You should be the director in the movie. So...
Because I've not seen it.
No.
I'm going to watch it now.
It did very well. I think people were expecting it to sort of not be, great, because the first one was brilliant. I think the second one wasn't as well received, but it did really well in the box office. And then the following day I was in the supermarket. I got a phone call from the production company saying, we want you to be in the movie. So I went and did 3 weeks filming at the end of 2015 at the West London Film Studios, where I was playing a director sitting next to Renee for 3 weeks. Like, it was ridiculous.
That's one of those stories, like, my mum always goes, oh, can't you just, say to someone passing through, like, if there's a celebrity in the building, like, I don't know, whoever, Renée Zelweger, she'd go, oh, why don't you ask Renee for a role in the film? And I go, oh, mum, don't be ridiculous, it doesn't work like that, blah, 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 blah. But, so that is one of those stories where, oh my God, great.
I honestly didn't, I wasn't, and trying to just jokingly walked out. I did do A-level drama at school or whatever, college, and I just said it as a joke. And had I not said it, I guess it might not have happened. But
so sorry, I was going to say that this podcast, when I first wanted to start, it was names and celebrities or whatever, interviews, but also interesting people who have interesting jobs or whatever. But you're the first film star.
Oh, you're very kind. I wouldn't say film star.
3-week film star.
All of my friends and colleagues and family are absolutely fed up of me talking about it. So I don't really, I don't really bring it up, happily these days because everyone winds me up. Yeah, it's my ringtone. It just says I was in a film when someone calls me. Yeah.
Do you go, when your phone's ringing, do you go, "Oh, sorry guys, it's Renee"?
Yeah.
Zellweger, how you doing?
I have made that joke a few times. I was like, Renee, so.
So you are a director. So one of the reasons I wanted to start this podcast, and you were actually, and I know you probably don't believe me, but you were one of the first where I thought I'd love to interview you. I don't know you that well. We actually randomly met in Shoreditch House, didn't we?
Yeah, and then I was working on Loose Women a bit at the start of the year because I was brought in to sort of help refresh it with the team on the show. It's a really nice team to work with, actually.
Yes, it is lovely, and you did a lovely job of that. But so we kind of knew.
Yeah, vaguely.
I remember we went, "Hey, you work at ITV."
Yeah, that's
right. At ITV.
Well, I liked your tweets because
Oh yes.
Yeah, you're very funny.
My drunken tweets.
You're very funny. You're a very funny man.
Thank you very much. So I wanted to, because for me, I still work in this environment, but I don't really know kind of everyone's job. I don't know what it is like to be a director, and so many people go to me, see that I work in kind of this environment, and really I just come in and go, do my little thing and go, so I don't really see the whole thing. And loads of people go, "Oh, how do I get into telly?" and stuff like that. And I thought it'd be great to do a podcast, talk to someone who's started from the bottom and worked his way up. So let's go from there. You started in telly as what?
Yeah, I was a runner. They called me a general assistant, but I was 16 years old at ITN. Photocopying scripts, making cups of tea, that sort of thing.
Okay, and then did you always want to be a director? No,
I didn't. I knew I wanted to work in TV.
Right.
I didn't know what I wanted to do. So after being a runner, I started doing shifts on the news desk. I was working at Channel 5 News. This was like 1997. So I started doing shifts on school holidays and weekends on the news desk, which was like assignments and things like that. So just arranging where like SAP trucks would go and things like that. And then the nice thing about Channel 5 News back then is that the newsroom and the studio were the same thing. So it was with Kirsty Young, and she would walk around on the Steadicam and present the news from her desk in the newsroom. That the sports bulletin would be done from the sports desk in the newsroom. So it was an exciting newsroom to be in because it had like lights and cameras, and I was like, this is great. So I was getting more excited by the sort of the studio side of it, the creative side of it, rather than the sort of journalism side of it.
Okay.
So I did that for a few years, and then I was sort of due to go to university, and I walked into the office one day, and a couple of people were talking, and they said, "Oh, Dan, the floor manager's leaving," and I just overheard it and just said, "I'll do it," and they were like, "Okay, well, we'll get back to you," sort of thing. And then they got back to me and they said, "Look, we'll let you do it. We think you do a really good job. You can do it, but you do it for a year, and then you go to university." So it was great. So I'd got my sort of first full-time TV job, I guess, at about 18. And then after that, I just met someone else who worked at Sky, and he introduced me to like the boss of Sky News. And then when I went over to visit them, he said to me, "Oh, what do you want to do at Sky News?" And I said, "I just want to be a vision mixer." So vision mixer is the person that sort of cuts the cameras around, puts the graphics on screen, that sort of thing. And then a couple of weeks later, I got a phone call. I got a voicemail. I'd just come off air at the end of a 6:00 news bulletin, and it was the head of Sky saying, "There's a job in Media Guardian. I want you to apply for it." So I did, interviewed for it, and then I got the job as a vision mixer on Sky News.
Amazing.
So I didn't go to uni in the end because I was like, by that point I was 19 and I was doing the job I wanted to do.
Fab. Okay, so you became a vision mixer in Sky.
Yeah.
And that is quite an early...
Yeah, I was the youngest vision mixer, I don't know, might have changed since, but 19, I was the youngest vision mixer they'd employed, yeah.
So this was around what year?
Gosh, 2000, 2001, I think 2001, actually.
Okay.
Yes, it was 2001.
And tell me about the time was this when you were working with Eamonn Holmes?
Oh, so no, that was a couple of years later. I'd moved, so I'd left Sky News and then I joined GMTV as a vision mixer.
Right.
And I was really excited. GMTV, a big breakfast show on ITV, huge viewing figures. Eamonn Holmes, Fiona Phillips, really prestigious show. Most watched breakfast show. So it was a great thing.
I remember as a kid, it was just part of the house.
Exactly, yeah. So I mean, so it was. So I applied for a job on it. I got the job, but I wasn't. I was still only been vision mixing a little while at that point. So I wasn't. I was good at Sky. I think I'd got to the point where I was doing really well at Sky.
Mm-hmm.
But when I went to GMTV, it was a much harder show and it didn't look it, but it was because you're cutting lots of cameras and interviews, music performances, that sort of thing. So it was a real challenge. And one morning I was probably getting a bit cocky, and they were doing an interview with a couple who had lost their house in a house fire, but for some reason didn't have any insurance. So really tragic story. This couple were living in their garden in a tent. So it was one of those really sort of sort of, I don't know, human interest sort of stories that, to tug at the heartstrings.
Which is basically daytime in a nutshell. You go from something really light-hearted to, it's a bit of a roller coaster, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. So that's exactly right. And that's why people like Eamonn and Fiona are so brilliant at what they do, because they can bridge that, they can do the sort of gear change, if you like. So after the break, I was vision mixing this segment about this couple that lost their house. And after the break, there was an item about fashion. It was a fashion item with Mark Hayes, I think it was, actually.
Oh, yeah?
It was a summer holiday, so I think Lorraine was off and Eamonn and Fiona were doing the sort of extended GMTV that day. And Mark was doing the fashion, and it was around the time when Madonna had been doing... I can't remember the song, but she was dressed up as like a cowgirl.
American Pie?
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
American Girl?
No, yeah.
American.
Yeah, it was American. She did American Pie, didn't she?
Yeah, American Pie.
So they were doing this. I think that sort of look was back in and was coming back in like plaid shirts and that sort of, I don't know, tassels. I don't know. There was the graphics department had mocked up an image of Eamonn dressed as a cowboy.
Okay.
So just as a bit of a gag for the fashion segment. And I said to the director, "Oh, do you want me to? Why don't I build a little sort of what we call a DVE zoom? Which is basically just a zoom out of the graphic. So I wanted it to start on Eamonn's face, so it just looked like it was Eamonn normal, and then it zoomed out to reveal him as a cowboy. So he said, "Yeah, sure, if you want, you can do it." I was like, "Yeah, I'll do it. I've got this. I've got this. Don't worry about it." In the middle of this serious interview, I was trying to be, cocky, trying to do something else. So
this was during the interview about the fire losing the house.
So I was trying to build this cowboy zoom during the interview with the couple that had lost everything, and then the director called for boxes, which is the sort of split screen two-way boxes thing when you can see the presenters and the guests at the same time.
Of course.
And I just quickly cut, so hot cut, which is basically you just cut it to air straight away. So there's no preview, there's no testing. It's straight on air, so the viewers see it. I just cut to the wrong thing, and it was Eamonn as the cowboy. So in the middle of this interview, Eamonn pops up as a cowboy, and I mean the whole control room, the whole gallery is just like looking at me, like I just wanted to die. And then Eamonn, I mean, he's just such a pro. Just on air, he's like, "I'm terribly sorry. I'm so sorry about that." He's apologised to the couple that were being interviewed. Apologised to the viewers. He said, "I'm really sorry. That shouldn't have happened." And he moved on. Absolute total pro.
And how did you feel at this point?
I just wanted to die. It was awful. I was like, "That's it. I'm done. They're going to sack me. Yeah. It's over." That was fun while it lasted. It served me right. Yeah, should have stayed at Sky. Exactly. The senior director heard about it. He came down to the gallery and he called me up to his office after the show, and he sort of gave me a bollocking and and he said, "You should probably go and apologise to Eamonn," and I wanted to as well because I felt bad, and I didn't know Eamonn really well at all. He's a lovely guy. He was always, but I didn't know him as well as I maybe do now because I've worked with him more as a director now.
Yeah.
So I went up to Eamonn's dressing room, and I said, "Hi, Eamonn. I'm the guy that cut up the cowboy." And he was just so nice about it. He was just like, "Don't worry about it. Put it on the showreel, mate. It's all good. It's live telly. It happens." Couldn't have been nicer.
He is lovely, isn't
Absolute legend. Yeah.
Because loads of people say like, get live TV getting things wrong, and it happens, doesn't it? I'm sure there are other moments which, and they obviously become less and less, but there are probably other times where things will happen or whatever. We all get it wrong.
That's why I love doing what I do, though. Because that's the beauty of live, is that if it goes wrong and you just pick up and you deal with it. You have to make quick decisions to try and move on. So that's the fun of live telly, I think.
I mean, if that was now, it would have gone viral. Yeah,
that's very true. Actually, that's so true. It would be the Daily Mail would probably have it, the Express or online, and then it would go on Twitter, and people would be That's exactly it's true. Actually,
it is a testament, though, I guess, to Eamonn. And you're ITV as well, who weren't like they just kind of said keep your finger on the
just focus a bit
right button.
Exactly. Yeah, no, but he couldn't have been nicer about it, actually.
So when was your transition then into... Did you go from a vision mixer to a director?
Yes, I did.
Okay, when was that?
So I went back to Sky after about...
the day after.
Yeah, the day, yeah. So I went back to Sky a couple of years later. I did about 3 years on GMTV, and I went back to Sky to launch. They had just got the contract to make Channel 5 News.
Yeah.
So they'd taken it from ITN. So I went back and launched that as a vision mixer. And then I just started directing that, actually. So sort of doing bits and bobs there, covering for the senior director when he was on holiday. And then eventually I transitioned into a full-time director on Sky News, which is an incredible thing to work on, channel to work on, because you just don't know what's going to happen. You get big, huge breaking stories, all times of the day. And you've got to deal with it, and you've got to run a big gallery and lots of experienced presenters and really great journalists, and it was a big channel to sort of work on. So I was really excited about that. So directed that, and then after that, eventually moved back to GMTV as the director. So I sort of was told about a job, went for the job. And then moved back to direct GMTV, which was great because I'd sort of known GMTV as a vision mixer, obviously, because I'd done it for a few years, and then went back to direct it, and then done a few other things in between, some children's shows, did some stuff for Channel 5 again. I did a sort of magazine, sort of early evening magazine show with Ian Wright.
Because with a lot of directors, I know they do flit around. They kind of. And even if you've got your kind of regular gig, you can still do other bits and bobs. I mean, you do loads. Yeah. You must be knackered.
I'm really lucky. I've got a really supportive team of, I've got supportive management around me. So, like my editor, Neil, is really, he's the editor of GMB. He's really supportive of my career progression. Emma Gormley is the head of daytime for ITV. Really supportive. I direct a program called Peston on Wednesday nights with Robert Peston, and the editor of that is really supportive. So I'm actually a staff director for ITV, so I'm not, so my actual main job is Good Morning Britain, and I do Peston on Wednesday nights, and then I get other opportunities, which is nice.
Well, let's talk. So we're recording this. It's the 11th of July, and you've just done. I love how you just checked.
Yeah, I just checked. It was So just is that accurate? I'm not. Let's just make sure.
No, but you have just come off. Was it Monday night? Tuesday night. Yeah. You directed the ITV leadership debate between Boris Johnson and Jeremy Hunt.
Yeah.
How was that?
It was incredible. I absolutely loved it. It was a great experience. We did it in Media City up in Salford, and it was a huge program to work on with lots of people, lots of pressure, and obviously we knew that all eyes would be on it.
As a director, how much say do you have with the kind of production, the editorial side of it, where you can go, right, this is what I want it to look like, and how much say do they have? Is it a kind of collaborative thing, or is it very much you are going, well, no, this is how we'll shoot it? Or do you kind of go, what do you want it to feel like? And I will then... I'm just trying to get kind of a feel for...
It is very collaborative.
Yeah.
So the editor or the executive producer will sort of give me a brief of what they want the show to be like and the feel of the show. So with this debate in particular, they wanted to sort of, modernise it a bit. So ITV had done lots of debates really successfully, and the teams on those programmes have done a really great job. But they wanted to sort of, zhuzh it up, for want of a better expression. So we as a team worked on it and approached a set designer called Patrick Doherty. He had done that. Yeah. Oh, thank you. And Patrick's a great set designer. He does Strictly and Saturday Night Takeaway.
Right.
So he does big light entertainment shows. He's done lots of things, but we went to him purposely because we knew that he would deliver a sort of set that we were after, and he introduced us to a great team of people, lighting directors and graphics people. So it's collaborative, but when you've got a great editor, and so Vicky Flynn, who was the editor of that, she put a lot of trust in me to go and sort of come up with the look and brief the designers and things on how it should look. But no, it is an absolutely team effort that sort of gets that to where it was, and it has to be, because it has to. Otherwise, I could just go off on a tangent and it wouldn't be. But yeah, I was really happy with it. Actually, I really enjoyed it.
I think Julie Etchingham, deserves the Pride of Britain Award for what she had to deal with.
She's incredible. I used to work with Julie at Sky News, actually, and she was brilliant back then. I haven't worked with her since probably about 2004, 2005, and she's just a powerhouse, an incredible journalist, and so focused. I mean, she had a lot in her head, so many different questions, and how to deal with the candidates. And she's open to a lot of criticism doing shows like that.
Hugely.
Because they are, watched by a lot of people, and, it's a very high profile, big news story at the moment. So she was really, really focused and just all over it. So it was great.
I think the majority consensus of it was that she was amazing at it.
Yeah, that was the nice thing, that off the back of the show, it was a really positive, I'd say 90%, 95% positive feedback.
Which is
and Julie
huge.
Absolutely deserves that, and the team that worked on it deserve it as well, because they smashed it, I think.
So your day job is GMB.
Yep.
Good Morning Britain comes
Yep.
along, director. What is it like? So I actually, and I wanted to get your opinion on this, I don't really catch Good Morning Britain because I don't get up that early.
Right.
However, I watch a lot of it through YouTube or through clips on YouTube. And do you think that is the way a lot of TV now is? I think ITV, from what I've noticed, are quite hot on that, and they often, I get a lot of my source of GMB from Twitter or YouTube or what have you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Someone's walked in with a Hoover.
Someone's just walked in with a Hoover. It's just it's live podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you just work around it. Yeah.
She can come in and chat. It's lovely.
Yeah.
For anyone who doesn't know, what I said earlier is we're recording this in the sound gallery of
TC2.
Television
Centre, yeah.
Television Centre.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. TC.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always thought it was TVC.
No, well, it's TV. Yeah, well, this is TC2, but but TVC is the
Look, you're too. I'm not a technical guy. So yeah, GMB. I catch a lot of it through that, and I love it. I think it's great. What is, though, for you as a director, because I think a lot of people will be unsure of even sometimes, like what is a typical day in the life of a director?
Well, for Good Morning Britain, a typical day is waking up at 2:00 in the morning.
Oh, God. So what time do you go to bed?
6:00 at night.
6?
Everyone does it differently. It works for me. So some people sleep in the daytime and go to bed at like 8 or 9 o'clock or 10 or whatever. It's always worked for me, even back in the days when I was vision mixing breakfast television, to go to bed at that time. So I go to bed at 6. I wake up at 2. In at work for about 3:00 in the morning, maybe just after 3, and Yeah, and then I go in, sort of the editorial team have been in there working overnight. So they've been working on all the news stories and things like that, and writing the show, cutting the pictures to go with the show. I come in, I mark up the running order. So some stuff we would have discussed the day before. So there's a day team as well that work on it, and I would have known about if there's any sort of big ticket items, like, you know, any sort of stuff, stunts in the studio or something like that. You know, we would have discussed and we would have pre-planned. But most of it is done on the morning. So I go in, I mark up the running order, decide what camera shots I want, and by about 4:30, I go through. The crew arrive. I do a briefing with them. And that takes about sort of 20 to 30 minutes. We go through the running order. Then between 5 and 6, we sort of rehearse, we block shots and look at sort of in and out break shots and things like that. One of the things I'm really keen to, I like to do with GMB and is to sort of keep innovating different sort of shots and ways of shooting the studio. And we've got a Steadicam and a jib, and we've got really great camera operators as well that sort of deliver.
They are great because they work across.
They work across daytime.
Shows,
yeah,
so
we're really lucky to have them. They're a really talented bunch of people, and they deliver, you know, every day of the week. And you know, so you know, I come up with a new idea and they smash it out of the park. Or you know, a lot of the time they come up with ideas as well, which is great, and that's why we're lucky to have them. So I'll do that, and then before you know it, it's 6 o'clock, and that time just flies by.
So you're live. You're on the telly. Yeah. You're live. What do you just expect the unexpected? I mean, I know when Piers is on, you often do. I love Piers. I think he's fab. But what is it like? Is it finger and does he keep you kind of on your toes?
Yeah, he really does actually. And they all do. I mean, because they're such. I mean, these guys are the top of their game. The presenters of Good Morning Britain. They're absolutely incredibly experienced presenters and journalists, and across the week. From Piers and Susanna, Ben and Kate, Charlotte, Laura and Alex, Richard Arnold. They're really good. They can handle anything. And so, but Piers on if you're directing a Piers show, and I do predominantly direct the shows that Piers and Susanna present Monday to Wednesday. Hello.
We're just recording. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that was nice. Another little pop in.
It's lovely. Wants a cameo.
Yeah,
she wants a part in Renée Zelweger.
I am very much kept on my toes, because that first sort of 20-30 minutes of Good Morning Britain is very unscripted. I mean, and anything could happen. So if Piers is talking about something, it's my job to try and get the pictures up to go along with what he's talking about.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, we get stuff from the web. We're going online to get clips, or he'll say, oh, I saw this thing on Twitter the other day, and then I've got a great person called Emily Dixon, who's our tech op, and she just quickly Googles it or goes onto Twitter and gets it up, or
So actually, that's so funny, because sometimes I'll look at that and I'll just assume you've discussed that bit.
No, it's not at all. It's not at all.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean, some chats will happen. Piers will. We know him, and we know all of our presenters well, so we know if there's something. And actually, if they've been tweeting about it the day before, we'll get an idea of stuff to have up our sleeve. But I'd say that was only 40%. The other 60% is done on the fly.
Amazing.
And one of the things we started doing with GMB in that first 30 minutes is having a bit of fun with like sound effects and things like that. And the show's changed a lot, So, and one of the shows that used to influence me, when I was younger, was the show called The Big Breakfast that Johnny Vaughan used to do, and Denise Van Outen, and they used to have so much fun on that show with sound effects and the crew getting involved and things like that. And I think that's what we do now. We're a sort of hybrid of The Big Breakfast, GMTV, Sky News, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
We do really well at news. We just won an award for best breaking news coverage, best live breaking news coverage, which was really great, really prestigious award in Monte Carlo. But at the same time, we have a really good laugh, and and that could be off the back of Piers winning Soccer Aid and wandering around, just getting up with a trophy and parading around the studio, and we run the right music to go along with that. and the crew joining in. We're always cutting to the crew, like Tim, who's one of our floor managers,
lovely Tim,
or Matt, who was one of our Steadicam ops. They're characters within the show as well, and the viewers, I think, love that at breakfast time, because they see that it's a real family, a real team that makes the show, and that's what I think. Why I think GMB works so well is because people get that it is a real close team that work on it.
Yeah. And it's not just some sort of kind of, how do I word this, like manufactured glossy terms of, I mean, it's very professional, but at the same time, it's not like formulaic.
Exactly.
In that.
Yeah.
What advice, because I get asked a lot, and as I always say, I'm like, I don't know, I just clap for a living. But what advice? No, but what advice would you give if someone wants to go into telly, just short and succinct? What would you say to them, like advice for them to get into it and succeed in it?
I think so. It's changed a lot since I first got into telly. Believe it. So I mean, I've been in TV for over 20 years, and so things have changed. Technology has changed. So where there were more, I think there were more opportunities when I started, because now a lot of things are automated that perhaps once weren't. So all I would say is that if you get your foot in the door, you've just got to be up for doing anything, and you've got to be prepared to work long hours. And if that means making someone a cup of tea or photocopying a script, or and it's heated, it's so I'm trying to be succinct, but I don't think it's working. But essentially, I just think you've people don't owe you anything, so you've got to prove and earn it. Prove yourself and earn it.
But it can take you anywhere. Like you was making teas at the start, and I was chatting today to Christine Lampard. It could take you in any direction.
Absolutely,
she's making
one of the
teas.
Nicest people in television.
She absolutely is,
honestly.
But now look at her. She's on the front of the telly, in front of the cameras, and she started off making teas. You're a director of one of the biggest shows on ITV daily. It can take you anywhere.
You've just got I can see the people that are going to go far in telly. And the way the way they behave, if you're a runner and someone you ask for a drink or something, if they feel like it's a big chore for them to do it, you just know they're not the right fit. People that are up for anything, and we've got some great people on GMB that are like that, and that have recently moved up to more sort of senior positions, and they smash it. They'll come in on their days off to do extra stuff, and they'll go just that extra mile, just to make something work. So just remember, no one owes you anything, and you've just got to work hard. I used to do 16-hour days. It was my choice. No one was forcing me to do it, but I loved being there. I'd come in on a Saturday morning and work on the sort of breakfast show, which we used to go on at 7 a.m. It was like a half-an-hour news show, and then I would be there at 7:30 at night to do the evening news. And I'd go home and maybe sleep in between, but or just stay in the office some days. But I just wanted to be there to soak it all up. I think that's helped me get to where I am today.
I ask everyone this at the end. We're coming to the end, Erron.
Wow, gosh, it's flown by.
Flies by.
Sorry, I hope it has for people
flies
listening.
by where people are coming in and asking for a Hoover.
Yeah.
Your mantra for life. So, we've had a few before. Lorraine Kelly was "Don't save anything for best." Tom Allen's was the same as that. I'm trying to remember other people's.
That's showbiz.
Nadia Sawala was "Those who mind don't matter. Those who don't matter mind." Something like that.
Sure, mine's, I don't think.
What's yours? Your mantra for life?
Essentially, I would say sort of act now and ask for forgiveness later. So what?
You're dressed as a cowboy.
Well, yeah. So what I would say about that is that if you've got the right team around you that's supporting you, and they trust you, if you've got the instinct to do something, just do it. And if it goes wrong, ask for forgiveness later. So, and there are lots of examples of where I feel like I've done that, and the ones that stick out in breaking news situations, we've done big breaking news shows here and at Sky, is that I'll risk cutting to a live shot of something, and if it cuts to colour bars, then okay, it didn't work out that time. But if it does, if you can get that shot before any other channel or anything like that, then it was worth it. And if you've got a supportive team around you, supportive bosses, they should understand that. So, but it applies to other things in life. It's not just telly.
Like taking risks.
Yeah. I think one has to take risks.
And ask for forgiveness later.
Yeah, something like that.
Erron, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Lee. Thanks for having me.
To you. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
It's the first time I've ever had a film star on my podcast. Your car's waiting at the...
Yes, I must go, darling.
Take the talent door. Thanks, Erron.
Thanks very much, Lee.